My name is Specialist Jackline Mwaniki. I am a 68 Echo, which is a dental technician in the United States Army. I'm currently stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. My unit is 257 Dental Company Area Support. Migrated to the United States back in 2003, November, after my mom had already applied to go to the United States as a nursing student. I was born and raised in Kenya, Mombasa, Kenya, from birth until I was about 13 years old. My mom wanted a better life for her kids and her family, so she, took it upon herself to apply for school in America, and she was glad when she got accepted. And then a couple months later, we were able to join her as her dependent. It was nerve-wracking, to think about moving to America because I had never been there before. The only exposure I had was through, media, TV, movies, and newspapers and articles. So I didn't know what to expect, but I was a teenager and I embraced the idea of going to a different country, and it was challenging just adjusting and a culture shock for me, especially because we went to the Midwest, Iowa, and the cornfields were a little bit similar like back home, but school, technology, learning English as a second language to be able to make it through my classes, that was difficult, but I was able to come up to all those challenges and graduate from Ames High School back in 2008, and then I moved to Texas because my mom got a better job with a hospital in Texas. So the whole family followed her there. And I was there until I joined the military and was stationed at Fort Bragg. Me joining the military was something that I had to do because I was a MEVNI applicant. I was a DACA recipient from the time I was 21 and was able to work with work permission, but I came really close to being kicked out of America and brought back to Kenya, basically just deported. So when the Army instituted the MEVNI program again, I was able to sign up with my language of Swahili as a skill. And I thank God every day because I had that opportunity, because it opened so many doors for me. My life before and after the military is drastically different. I was a single 25-year-old something, staying at home, relying on my parents to take care of me. And after I joined and graduated from basic training, I was able to be independent, take care of myself, eventually get married, have a child, and now I'm raising an American child. And the Army facilitated me to be able to achieve all those dreams. I'm not where I want to be right now. I'm still on the path, but I am truly thankful because in the span of 3 years, my life has completely changed. And I get to serve the country that embraced me as one of their own. I was able to get my citizenship after basic training, which is amazing. And serving is just part of me saying thank you to the country that has shown me so much kindness and taken me in. And I've lived there longer than I lived anywhere else. I've been in the United States for 16 years. And this opportunity came at the right time because this is my first chance to come back to Africa and be able to serve not only just as, a daughter of this continent, but also as a soldier in the American Army. So our first day here, after we had our welcome ceremonies, we were able to move around and go to a different section. So when I got to this dental clinic, a lot of people were like, "Hey, I can see your name," because I had my uniform on. "Mwaniki, where's that from?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Kenyan." And they're like, so they embraced me so well because they did know that I'm from Kenya now. Like, "Well, do you speak your language?" I was like, "Yes, I speak Swahili." Like, "Well, you look like one of us." And it was so nice to be welcomed and embraced in that way because it opened that dialogue for us to be able to work together closely so quickly. They were so easily welcoming to me, and it's good to be here because this is the eastern section of the continent, so it is an East African country just like Kenya, and it's like being at home. I feel comfortable relating to them and speaking to them, and the cultures are similar, and being able to work with the Rwandan counterparts like the nurses and the doctors and the interns that I've been able to work with here has been amazing. And not only in this dental clinic, but also the opportunity to go to the theater and work with oral maxillofacial surgeons. I don't get to do that back in my home station, and I've learned so much because they've been willing to teach me, and I don't take it for granted. Back in my home station, I work as a dental technician, and most of our work concentrates in the dental clinic environment, assisting a dentist with the patient care, assisting with pressing instruments, infection control, taking x-rays and all of that. But the great thing about being here in this part of the MEDREX team is that I've been able to function as a surgical tech in the theater. I've been working closely with Dr. Hanlon, who is an oral maxillofacial surgeon, and he's Rwanda counterparts, Major Simon and Dr. Amal. And it's been great because I've never had that experience before in my home station, and I was quick on my feet in order to learn the different instruments, to be able to don the surgical gowns and be able to pass the instruments the correct way. And we've worked on some interesting, very interesting cases and things that even he doesn't have that much experience with back home. And it's broadened my experience as a tech and even shown me that I can be able to serve in a different role and be utilized in a different way. And hopefully that training can be used when we do go downrange. If someone does need a surgical tech and we're down on one, I can be able to quickly scrub in and assist. My experience working with the Rwandans has been great because they've been such a welcoming people and very warm to me being here, and all of us being here and being part of the MEDREX. From day one, I was able to assist chairside in the clinic because that was my first experience, from the head of the department, Major Basco, all the way down to the assistants and a dental therapist. I was quickly able to form close bonds, especially with Bahati, who was one of the dental therapists, and also some of the dental interns. It is different because from the way that we do our work back home in Fort Bragg because of the limitation with resources, so I had to find different approaches for my job, my different ways of doing my job, different techniques, and that was the biggest challenge. And I was able to rise that challenge also because you just have to be in a new environment and figure out how things work. And they've been excellent in training me and showing me. So my first day, I was able to step back a few of the cases, watch how they assist and how their processes are for taking care of patients and having people in the chair, and then able to take over after that. I've also had to learn different techniques here because our root canal treatments are totally different from how the Rwandans approach. Today, we're able to work with Dr. Eric, who was not able to have an alcohol flame inductor, so he used a candle. So that was interesting. That was my first experience. It's very practical that we can use probably downrange if we were in short of supplies or something happened and we were forced to be resourceful. Candle and the flame would work just as well. And also the approach with that treatment also involves manually being able to do that. And back home we have the access, and we're blessed enough to have rotary instruments, which is great and expedites the whole process and makes it less painful. I've also been able to work in the OR, which has been great, and that has never been something I was able to do in my position since joining as a 68 Echo. What it means to serve for me personally is that I get to make my parents proud. It's a way for me to honor the sacrifices that they made by taking the leap of faith to apply for school in America, take their families and all their children back to America, immigrate to America for a better life. And there's nothing that brings joy to me than when I think about when my mom was able to attain my basic training graduation and see that, you know, her kid got to achieve the American dream that she was hoping and she sacrificed everything for. It also means that I get to give back to the nation that was able to welcome me with open arms, take care of me since I was a teenager, and give me an opportunity to become one of their citizens, one of their children. And where I met my husband, who I was able to have my child who is an American citizen, and give back to that nation knowing that I am proud to be an American now, and that is the identity that I embrace wholly. But for me to be able to serve here in Rwanda, in Africa, in East Africa, after so many years of being away, is beyond anything that I could have hoped for as a specialist in the Army, because I get to live out my dream. I get to come back home, you know, get to be received in such an honorable way because I am in this uniform and I represent the U.S. Army, but also get to see what it is that my parents were able to give me and the opportunity that they were able to give me. I go back now a different person with a different perspective of how blessed I am to be in the United States Army, to live in the United States, to have the opportunity to live out my dreams and have the American dream for myself and for my husband and my child.